Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be taking a closer look at one of the most important sectors driving the country forward to the future. It is the information and communication technology sector. We're going to be reviewing some of the giant leaps the country has taken in this field specifically, and looking forward to the future plans, the hopes, the aspirations, and some of the obstacles that we need to overcome to achieve the ultimate potential of this sector. But before we start doing that, let's check out some of the stories making the news today. And we'll start off with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi directed on Tuesday to integrate projects at the industrial zones of the Suez Canal Economic Zone amid the state's strategy to localize industry. This came during the President's meeting with the Ministerial Economic Group headed by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, with the attendance of the Central Bank Governor Tariq Amir, Minister of Planning Hala Saeed, Minister of International Cooperation Rania Al-Mashad, Minister of Public Business Sector Hisham Tawfiq, and Minister of Trade and Industry Naveen Gamea, in addition to the head of the Suez Canal Economic Zone, Mohammed Yahya Zaki. The President also instructed to prioritize alternative production of imported goods, to decrease expenditure and burden of exportation, as well as open new horizons for exportation. He gave his directives to enhance executive procedures to apply the electronic payment system mechanisms as an alternative of the traditional ways to pay governmental services fees, to cope with the technological progress that contributes in raising the performance and offering facilitations to citizens. Presidential spokesman Bassam Radi said the meeting tackled the underway projects and production activities in the economic zone, plus the current efforts to digitalize the banking system and the electronic payment system at the state's level. Also, the armed forces congratulated President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, on the occasion marking the new year. In a message, Minister of Defense and Military Production Mohammed Zaki, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, congratulated the President on the advent of the new year, wishing him a good health and prosperity for Egypt. The Minister confirmed that the armed forces would stand behind the political leadership with all confidence in fulfilling its responsibilities and tasks, with the aim of facing challenges and defend the land of Egypt and its national interests. These were some of the stories making the news today. Now let's check out this report regarding President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi following up the national projects in the information and communication technology sector, and we'll be right back with my distinguished guest.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi followed up on the national projects of the communication and information technology sector. This came during the President's meeting with the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, and the Minister of Communication and Information Technology, Amr Talat. President al-Sisi directed the using of latest technologies and international standards to implement projects in the communication and information technology sector, and to double the country's digital transformation infrastructural capabilities. This will directly contribute in the digital transformation efforts, in addition to the training of human potentials on various digital skills to support the government's performance, as well as provide the latest digital services to the citizens and business sector. This is also expected to help achieve digital inclusion and to institutionalize the foundations of digital economy. Meanwhile, Minister Talat presented the current executive position on some projects being implemented by the ministry in the field. The presentation included the formulation of a strategy for artificial intelligence to contribute in elevating the performance of government services, whilst expand the number of trained human resources within the sector on digital skills and efforts to manufacture school computers in the context of building up Egyptian talent. The head of state also looked over the meeting the current axes of implementation of Digital Egypt Future Work is Digital initiatives, in addition to efforts to develop the internet infrastructure to accommodate heavy usage currently as a result of COVID-19 pandemic repercussions. In addition to this, the latest updates regarding the developments in raising the efficiency of post offices, 1,600 offices across the nation witnessed development upgrades. Also, the ministry showcased the current updates on financial inclusion services such as microfinancing, consumer finance, microinsurance and the digital mobile wallet. Minister Talat said choosing the new administrative capital to be the Arab Digital Capital for next year by the Council of Arab Ministers of Communication and Information Technology is due to its highly advanced digital and technological infrastructure. In addition, the new administrative capital hosts the Egyptian Information University, considered the first of its kind in the region.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here in the studio by Dr. Nezar Samy, the board member of the International Association of Management Consultant. Dr. Samy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Dr. Samy, first of all, focusing on the ICT sector. Now, Egypt has taken giant leaps, and it was obvious over the past few months, maybe over a year during the coronavirus. Everybody really felt the progress that has been made during that time, but it's a process that started many years ago. Can you please shed light on the main leaps that we've taken in such an integral sector?
Thank you very much for the question. And as everybody witnessed that the information and communication technology was the main pillar to support the economy and to support the different industries for the last 9 months with the corona and the COVID and all those different aspects. And the beauty of the story started like years and years ago. And let's start with by 2015 when it started the Supreme Council for Digital Society. This Supreme Council had the mission to establish what we call the digital nation. At the time, and developing a set of programs and set of projects on a national level, where we started to introduce the concept of the digital transformation. All of these things are already implemented as part of the Egypt 2030 vision, which is to having a competitive economy that based on knowledge and innovation for more developed lifestyle for the normal citizen. And from that direction, we saw different applications, different ministers, they are already working together hand by hand to move into the digital era. And thanks to Corona in this direction, it was a blessing from the ICT perspective, because it pushed everybody to use and to be dealing with technology in a nice way, or in a seamless way, seamless operations. So a lot of effort have been involved in this area, starting from the basic infrastructure and the development and the infrastructure level, even though thinking of the application layer as well as part of developing things. And the beauty of that part, when you talk about the application layer, which is the public-private partnership that have been took place in the last period, and resulted in, which is the Digital Egypt, which is the whole platform for the different services in the society that moves into the digital era.
Yes. Well, Dr. Samy, digitalizing a country as a whole, or the economy in specific, it's an ongoing process. So you don't really reach an end result, because like any phone app, you need to update it, and it keeps improving and progressing with time. Now, if we started this process in 2015 and we're in 2020 or 2021, that's about 5-6 years, what were the main sort of industries or sectors that, as soon as we started in 2015, we thought that, okay, the ICT needs to focus more on this sector? Was it the banking one? Was it the industrial one? What was the plan of actually establishing the digitalization process for the whole country?
Thank you for this very good question. Let me give you some insights about one of the top countries in the world, which is Finland. I hosted Suvi Linden, she was the Minister of Information and Communication Technology. I hosted her in one of the webinars during COVID, and she mentioned that in Finland it took her like 15 years to make Finland this type of digital nation. Thanks a lot for all the efforts being conducted in Egypt at this moment. The development of the digital society started years and years ago, but with the main focus and main attraction for the last period. The healthcare sector. First place, we started to have a unified database for all the Egyptians, okay, which is the most important, but the most important pillar, that we have a unified and clean database. So you can have a record for Hani per se, so you know Hani is just one person. Hani Safe is just one person with no duplicate identities. This amount of effort to have a data cleansing, it was amazing, have been done already. So we started with this type of infrastructure, and then some of the pillars, for instance, the education is one of the top urgent part on that. We all believe in this. Education is the only way out and the only move to the future. And therefore, we saw the initiative Education 2.0 that started with Dr. Tariq Shawi a couple of years ago, and introduced a new concepts and new competencies from the KG level till the year 12 and so on. So education was one of those important pillars. Telecommunication as acting as like Egypt to be a hub of ICT for the region. As you know, that the submarine fiber cables moving the digital or the communication from the east to the west is passing through Egypt, so we need to capitalize on this as well. And we saw a lot of good initiatives to serve not just even the region, but Africa, and Africa is the most important part for that. Another sector, which is the supply chain and e-commerce area, is extremely moving and booming very fast, because it gives the place for consuming a lot or creating a lot of jobs in this direction. As well as the healthcare sector is extremely important. We know that they are now talking about the next revolution in the health sector, using the technology like telesurgery and telepathology, teleradiology application. All of these things were already started years and years ago, but have been focused on in the last period as a part of the development. Worth mentioning also the documentation centers and the post services as well, the traffic issues as well, the supply where people they can get their needs. All of these sectors were in the top of the priority of the state in order to move into the digital era.
Dr. Samy, you've mentioned quite a few things that we need to focus on, and I'll take them one by one. First off, having a database for all Egyptians. How far have we come to have a database for every single person? I mean, we're a bit over 100 million.
Yeah.
How far did we cover?
It was a challenging point because, as you mentioned, it was 100 million. And the beauty is that the data was scattered between different ministers. So we have to consolidate them. The program started with the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development at that time, a couple of years ago, and then the whole file moved to Ministry of Information and Communication Technology. So the Ministry of Planning at that time and Administrative Development, they took this part as a mandate to do a coordination, first coordination between different ministries in order to assure, for instance, the social solidarity is integrated in that, the traffic authority as well, and integrated in this well. So the integration is part of the first step. And then reviewing the records, the project took like 3-4 years till we reached, they have like a clear database for all the Egyptians with the newly born and all the levels, which is the most important part at the cornerstone to develop any service to be like digitized from now. We need to have this.
Yes.
It was quite challenging. It took like 3-4 years till it come to the surface, and you can demand and can depend on that. And you mentioned in your question that it is something we need to maintain it. It's just not only the start, but we need to maintain it. We need to make it fresh, and make it updated day by day, second by second. And now we have record for every single newly born baby in Egypt. So with a national ID number, which is non-repeated, so we can dedicate services, we can do some sort of getting all your rights and receiving all your any type of incentives or any type of support. You need to get it from the government.
Yes. Well, a lot of people are mixing between the process of digitizing and digitalizing. So it seems that having a database for everyone, it's really more of a digitizing sort of process, and it's a prerequisite for the rest of the digitalization. Now, are we fully equipped? Are we really full on in the digitizing process to be able to go to the digitalizing one?
Sector by sector, we can say yes. Some of the sectors are already done with this and started to move into the digitization, which is getting digital equipment like computers, scanners, printers, having an email and communication, having a unified database for communication and for transaction, different type of transactions. And the most important part, when you talk about digital transformation, first place, it is a transition period. So we move from the normal legacy systems to the new system. So it requires infrastructure, it requires a new business model, how to do the operations, which is the most important part, which is doing business as usual is not anymore valid anymore in this type of new systems. So we need to change the business processes, business operations, and business model, how to do the service, and how to cater the service for the community, as well as the capacity building for the employees, for themselves, okay? And on top of all of these things, which is the legislative system and the legal system and the law, you need to have like to update the different type of laws to be with the speed of 2020. We saw some laws, and I'll give you an example for pharmaceutical industry. For say they have laws for the year 1955. And they're still dealing with this type of laws about medicine trading, for instance, in Egypt, and we are now in 2020. So all these things need to be reshuffled and need to be renovated as well. So yes, ministers are already moving forward in this direction. It is a mandate by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to everybody, and we saw every and I'm not like to say every week, but every day, he has some sort of meetings with the central bank governor, for instance, Tariq Amir. And we saw that the Supreme Council for Payments and pushing Egypt to go to the digital payment methodologies and to activate use of like the Misa card or the cashless society, which is a very promising project. It creates a lot of jobs, by the way, and it is dealing with corruption, and it solves a lot of under-table money and all this type of corruption, and it makes a use of utilization of financial resources. Therefore, you can move into the formal economy. You can raise your position in the global as a competitive level. So the banking sector is moving very fast. And we saw a lot of aggressive and very pressuring decisions took by the governor Tariq Amir to push all the banks to move into the digital wallets or digital application and do what we call the digital bank. I remember in February 2018, Tariq Amir mentioned that he has a dream at that time. He said, I dream that I hope that by 2020 we have the digital bank. And we have the good news. One of the national banks, which is the Bank Masr right now, he has started to develop this digital bank. So the banking sector, the financial sector, and the money market is doing a very good progression in this area. The telecom sector is doing the same thing. Healthcare is moving, and we see a lot of investments coming into to invest in startups, invest in entrepreneurship, to do some sort of digital medicine or digital medical applications. We saw a lot of this and have been focused and taking attention after the COVID and need for different type of ventilators, different type of applications to move forward.
Well, Dr. Samy, because you've brought up the banking sector, which is probably as you've mentioned, the most aggressive and the boldest sector in really applying the digital transformation. So by establishing, for instance, the first digital bank, where does the whole Bitcoin and the cyber currency come into effect? Does it actually enhance the idea of having these digital currencies, or because there is a strong real presence of the banking sector in the digital world, it will reduce the effect and the usage of these cyber currencies?
Well, the Bitcoin per se is prohibited from every central bank in Egypt, in the world. It is not allowed by any central bank to be dealt with. Yet, anybody can have the freedom to utilize or to use it or to deal or whatever would like to do type of operation. Now, it's an issue of management of technology. We have the part of business, doing business, and part of technological development. Technology is accelerating doing businesses. If businesses cannot cope with the technology speed, business will shut down. Therefore, we saw that the Central Bank of Egypt started to develop like the fintech strategy of Egypt, which is the financial technology strategy of Egypt. And part of that, they are studying right now, they have like the cryptocurrency, or to have the cyber currency or cryptocurrency of the Egyptian pound. So this is the legal position. So instead of using the normal printed money, you can go to the cryptocurrency, which is the digital money. This way is 100% legal, 100% authorized. You can use it, you can trade it, you can deal with it, and it has been right now developed, and it is one of the emerging markets, by the way, not only just in Egypt, but different countries in the world are moving into this era very soon. So it's one of the great potential areas that Egypt can invest and create a lot of emphasis if we can lead and give some of the sort of good examples for the community and for the region how to move into this digital money and from a state perspective.
Yes. Dr. Samy, now you gave me the example of Finland of actually going through this transformation, the transitional period for 15 years. Now, if let's say we've started realistically started the process in 2015. So that's about 5 years now. how far are we in this transition period? Should we be expecting 15 years, or should we be expecting less with the advancement in the technology? Should we be expecting less because of the coronavirus pandemic that has pushed many sectors over the past 10 months?
If you asked me this question 10 months ago, I can tell you that we are still moving between. We are doing fine. But now, after 10 months from COVID, I can tell you, and thanks to all the team in Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, headed by the Minister Dr. Amr Talat, he mentioned that 3-4 years from now, we will be able to digitize the whole setup in the government of Egypt. And thanks to moving to the new administrative capital right now is another one of the good triggers to move into the digital era and to make it a whole ecosystem of supporting the technology. You can see right now, 10 months ago, you can see the people in the street, they don't care about using technology. Right now, using the social media applications, the technology has been diffused a lot with the normal, even students in the schools, even kids, they work with some sort of apps. So the technology diffusion right now is getting progressively away ahead, more than we can expect, or more than we expected. So it is a matter of in the midway by 2025, we can say that we will be able to see a new Egypt, a new digital Egypt as well, moving with this tremendous upgrade and tremendous move to apply the different technological solutions.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Samy mentioned, Egypt is moving towards digitizing all the governmental services and taking it really to the new administrative capital. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
The Minister of Communications and Information Technology, Amr Talat, announced the government's plan to digitize much of its services ahead of its big move to Cairo's new administrative capital. This as he reviewed the ministry's progress in developing a new platform called Digital Egypt. The platform can be accessed online via mobile application at post offices as well as through a hotline 15999. Using the platform, the public will be able to pay bills and traffic tickets or other court-related fines and order their driving licenses and ration cards to be delivered by mail. Payments can be made via credit card or Visa cards or by cash at any physical location. The minister said 34 services related to documentation, supply, traffic and courts are offered within the platform's initial launch. Also 30 services related to personal statuses, social housing, notary office services, courts, trade register services and health will be available upon the launch of the second phase. Earlier, the minister announced that approximately 1 billion documents will be available for online access before June 30th of next year. The update came as Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli announced Egypt's Central Agency for Organization and Administration will restructure the country's ministries and bodies ahead of their move to Cairo's new administrative capital. Madbouli stressed that each minister will meet with the head of the CAOA to review their proposals for restructuring prior to obtaining approval from the agency. The minister affirmed that enhancing technological innovation and creating a conducive environment for the growth of startups is one of the ministry's main priorities. He noted Egypt has achieved promising results in this sector and maintained its first position in the Middle East and Africa region in drawing the biggest number of startup investment deals during the first half of 2020.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Nezar Samy. Dr. Samy, now talking about moving to the new administrative capital, transforming all the governmental services, digitizing them. What does that really mean when we move to the new administrative capital? That if anybody who lives outside of the new capital, do we need to go there? Is this the main hub, the center of it here in Egypt? When will it start spilling over to the rest of Cairo, to the rest of the country, all the governorates? How fast and how imminent is this process?
Thank you for the question. And we need to shed light about the new administrative capital, and all the efforts have been conducted over there. We can say right now it was a real dream to have a digital city or a smart city or a smart capital one day over a time. And the dream is coming true right now. And we saw that by the selecting or nominating the new capital as the digital capital of the Arab world for 2021. It was nominated by the Ministers of Communication and Information Technology in the Arab League a couple of weeks ago. And this means, this is a very clear message to everybody that the city or the capital is smart from day one, starting from the normal infrastructure underpinning underground infrastructure, control systems in different resources, power, electricity, and so on, water resources, moving to the basic services that will be conducted to the people living there. It is a whole ecosystem with the new move. And in that sense, each and every ministry started to establish a strategic digital transformation unit in it by itself. Those people have been trained in moving to the new administrative capital, how they transfer the process, how they transfer the operation outside the administrative capital. As you mentioned, do I have to travel from back and forth from the administrative capital to get the services? Definitely no. And the Minister Amr Talat mentioned in one of his announcements that all the services will be online, conducted from the it will be like the central of operation, like the digital brain of the country will be in the new administrative capital. A lot of money have been conducted over there, multinational companies coming and developing solutions hand by Egyptian startups and Egyptian companies in the ICT sector, which is, I mentioned earlier, which is the public-private partnership, which is very good. So we are creating new jobs, modifying and make ease of use of the services. All of these things will be reflected in the international indicators. For instance, the Global Competitiveness Index, and you can see that Egypt is going high in the ranking. The indicator of ease of doing business right now, so we are moving away. The indicator of supporting of the internet capacities over the internet in Africa. We moved, we are now number 4 in Africa after we've been away on this type of the top 5. So all of these things, all of these movements supporting the competitive position of Egypt right now. So if I'm living outside, if you have your mobile phone, a smartphone, then you can easily download the Digital Egypt app or the website, go for it and ask for your service. So what if the case, if I'm not equipped with this smartphone? Do I have to buy a smartphone in order to be, or I'll be left behind? The answer is no. Even the ministry, we think about the digital inclusion at large. So the digital inclusion, it has many pillars, and one of those pillars, you cannot leave anybody behind. So you cannot let anybody behind. So they started to, for those who cannot have like the luxury of having a smartphone, you have a call center, you have a hot number. So if you have a normal phone, even a landline, you can call and you can request your services, and as if you are using the same thing when you call from your smartphone. So nobody is left behind. You have to be in communication. So I assume I don't have landline per se. I don't have the luxury of having. We have the technology centers in each and every governorate. And those centers, and I'll give you, I need to connect dots for the normal, for our audience. Right now, we have the Government Excellence Award for its second year. And the Government Excellence Award in Egypt started to evaluate different government entities, and part of it, how far this institution is digitally transformed, how far this institution or this organization is providing its services to the normal beneficiaries through websites, their website, official website, or they have any type of other engagement. We saw some of the companies, for instance, in electricity, they used to give the meters of the electrical meter through WhatsApp.
Yes.
Wow, we didn't see that a couple of years ago. So this is the beauty of using the technology. So nobody is going to be left behind, whatever the service you go. But as I just mentioned, it is a transformation process. It takes time. So we have set of priorities. And when you talk about Digital Egypt per se, we started with 70 services right now up and running. And we are still in the soft opening phase. And every 3 months, there will be around 20 to 30 new services updated on this platform. So I'm asking and inviting everybody, go and try it, go and apply it, go use different platforms. Don't be afraid from using the technology. Okay, it's quite easy, quite simple. We test these things years and different times, and maybe a question comes that on the top of the head of anybody about security. I need to have like my data, my personal information security. We say, okay, thank you very much that the new law of data protection and personal data protection is there on place. It was issued in July, and now you can rest assured that all your data is protected. The security and cybersecurity attacks, we have a very good, strong team from technical people from different locations. From the financial sector, we have like the security team from the emerging sector. For the government institution, we have what we call the Computer Emergency Rescue Team, which is the CERT. We have the CERT in the government, and we have the CERT for the banking sector. And those engineers and those experts are really very good caliber and handy-picked and very well trained with the latest updated technologies, not only in Egypt, in the world. It's really a very amazing and very promising team. So all what we need to do, go, try the service, and please give a feedback.
Yes.
Whether it is positive, say thank you for those people. Whether it is negative, give me a constructive feedback, even if it is negative. Okay, I tried this app and I faced this type of problem. Immediately you will find somebody who is going to call you or going to communicate with you, because as I mentioned, we are in the soft opening phase. So we need to have all the people trying to test it, to make the use of it. We need to see if there is any problem, any bug, any latency, not only just the stop of the, but having a latency, because a response time is extremely important. It's an important factor. So I'm inviting everybody to visit on this Digital Egypt platform and use the applications and in safe hands.
Yes. Dr. Samy, you've mentioned how really the ICT sector is working on reculturing the whole country, the Egyptian citizen, into taking them by the hand to the digital age, using the Digital Egypt platform among different platforms, the hotline 15999, all of these services. Now, what about the industries? Because a lot of the digitalization process is working on outsourcing and really helping with the operation of different industries and sectors. What if people are not really well equipped, or they're still taking time? I understand we're in the soft opening phase, but what if people are still not equipped and not capable of operating their industries and their businesses in the digital manner, which we see especially as well in the small and medium enterprises? Also talking about outsourcing. Now, how long will this soft opening last? Because are we really going easy with the people who will be losing their businesses, who will be losing their money? How supportive are we? Because there are also some people who will be very resistant to this transformation and this change. How are we dealing with this?
Okay, very good question. And let me put it into two parts. The first part, if I'm not equipped with digital tools, okay, am I left behind using this type of platforms? The answer is no. You can get if you have any internet connection from a laptop or from a PC, you can use this. If you cannot do that, you have your call center, as you just mentioned, give the call and you will receive your services. So this is the first part. How about doing businesses in the digital era? When you talk about the digital inclusion and the digital literacy as well, in the last few months, we saw that NGOs, and we saw the Federation of Egyptian Industries. They started a very good program about digital literacy for companies, for startups, and they provide webinars, they provide trainings for them, how to move into the digital era, how to change your business model in that. It's all about the business owner to be more agile. Are you afraid from using the technology? So I can't do anything for you, but you need, if you like, to be brave, you have to be confident enough, depend on the technology. You will find a lot of resources to develop these things. Starting from the capacity building for your staff, Ministry of Information and Communication Technology availed hundreds of training programs for free for everybody. They can learn this type of new technologies. If it is not about learning technology, about learning businesses, again, we have the Next Technology Leaders Initiative, which is mandate. They have like more than 40 educational track from the big institutions in the world, again, for free. You can get hooked in one of this type of program and see how to transfer your business in this education and transfer your business into the digital era. We saw that the Federation of Egyptian Industries, as I just mentioned, different institutions, the Industry Modernization Center, they started to develop one of the program for digital transformation. Even though in the exporting businesses, different organizations responsible for getting exporters or getting companies with this type of exporting, they are moving and ask them to move into digital transformation or the digital move era. Actually, I see that this is a responsibility, part of the social responsibility or the technological / community or social responsibility from each and every company operating in the area of ICT is to do what we call digital literacy for them. Okay, so I need, if I'm doing my small business and I need to ensure that I'm doing this way, so I need to find a nice model to follow. We saw different unions, for instance, the Chamber of Information and Communication Technology, the CIT, the Chamber, is providing a lot of training programs, a lot of webinars on how to deal with this. So right now, the media is extremely important in doing this part. So we need to shed the light. We need to give more and more information to the business associations. They have the same worries about moving and losing businesses.
Yes.
Again, it's all about having a digital mindset. Do I prepare myself to move into the digital era? Am I ready to change the operation, to change the process or not? So business owners need to take forward steps, put all the emphasis in that, and they will find a lot of support from different associations.
Yes. Dr. Samy, now another thing that, another transformation and a transition that the whole world is actually going through right now, everyone's talking about the 5G technology. It is already applicable in many different countries. A lot of people have mixed feelings and are skeptical about the 5G technology. How will this, in simple terms, affect the the Egyptian technology, the Egyptian business and industry, the economy? What are the pros and cons of it? Are we ready? Because we're already going through a digital transformation. Are we ready to take on a 5G transformation? How hard is it? How easy is it? Is it easier now because we're already in the loop of it, or will it still need to? We'll still need to go through some sort of a reformatting of the whole system again.
Okay, very good question, because this is one of the leading technologies right now, which is communication. Whatever the type of communication, how we communicate. What's the difference between 5G and 4G? The mobile communication is moving through generations, and each generation, it takes 10 to 15 years to populate, to be utilized, and to reach its maturity. The difference from one generation to another in terms of the services, the capacities, and the speed of data transmission. Okay, when you talk about 5G, it's almost like the science fiction we saw in different movies, like 007, and he talks to the car and calling from the watch, something like that. This is typically the applications of the 5G. I recall back to the 80s, early 80s, there was a series called The Night Rider. The Egyptian television used to see it, and you see this guy, Mike, he used to talk the car. This is typically the 5G, and how it's going. So, the good news that we started this in Egypt from capacity building back to 2015. I recall it was me in this area, not anybody. I'm not calling, I call on behalf of myself. I remember it was one of those telecom manufacturer operating in Egypt. They came and me, okay, you are a university professor doing so and so. We need to train people, Egyptian engineers, about 5G technology, because we saw, or we see that in 5 years from now, this was back to 2015, we need to have 5,000 engineers, Egyptian engineers, equipped, and they know about the 5G technology. And we consulted with the National Telecommunication Regulatory Authority at that time, and we established a very nice program to train Egyptian engineers on 5G technologies. So we are not behind this, but it is not populated because it is very still in the technical kitchen, not in a public service, as you mentioned. And it is something new. So we are leading the technology in this part. And this telecom company, I asked them, why you are picking this? They said, okay, we are thinking of applying our technology in the region, in Africa, in the GCC market, the Gulf market, and the Europe. And we need the Egyptian engineers because they are very good, highly caliber, talented, committed to be our technical arm in this area. So we need to have this amount of engineers ready to do this type of exercise for us. Right now, we have been read in the newspapers a couple of days ago that will be some sort of trials in Tahrir Square about applying 5G. So it is opening the door to the fourth industrial revolution, and maybe the industry X.0.
Dr. Samy, we only have 1 minute left, but I need to take this opportunity to ask you another sort of transformation that Egypt promises to take, which is the artificial intelligence. I know we're probably taking baby steps so far, but what sort of effect will this have on our technology, our lifestyle, and when can we actually get into at least the trial period of applying artificial technology in our lives here?
Artificial technology started from the 60s, but the real application has been focusing for the last couple of months or couple of years. Egypt
artificial intelligence, I'm sorry.
Artificial intelligence. The Egypt started to have like a strategy, a national strategy for AI, which is artificial intelligence. Having this a strategy put the Egypt government in high rank. We have been raised in the high rank, which is the readiness of applying artificial intelligence in the government. It consists of the strategy, in a nutshell, it consists of infrastructure, it consists of capacity building, doing businesses, and education as well. And we saw a lot of universities in the area. Definitely, it will ease the life for doing services online. Instead of having like an agent sitting behind the screen doing this, we can use a very piece of software that will do the process in a nice and a timely manner. So it's part of supporting the digital transformation activities in Egypt in a very seamless and a nice way.
And how soon can we start doing that?
Already some sort of application started in different institutions and government institutions. One of them, which is the organization development agency, they started to have an app, an artificial intelligence app in their website, so you can go and ask a question. This is not a gentleman sitting behind the screen. No, it is a software doing this for you. So it is already started, and even private sector started to develop this in banking sector, and even in more and more industries as well.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Samy mentioned and highlighted, this sector, the information and communication technology, is a very vibrant and lively sector that Egypt has been really keen on strengthening and advancing, taking the whole country in all different sectors to another level, to the future. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very capable and distinguished guest, Dr. Nezar Samy, the board member of the International Association of Management Consultants. Dr. Samy, it's a pleasure having you here with us.
Pleasure is mine. Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nada International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.